Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled What If Oklahoma State and West Virginia Vanished in 2011? What if two of the most exciting teams in college football simply vanished right before the 2011 season? No Oklahoma State, no West Virginia, just gone. That means no Justin Blackmon lighting up defenses, no Geno Smith throwing touchdowns, no Tavon Austin turning the Big East into a track meet. Instead, their coaches and star players scatter across the country, reshaping the Big 12, SEC, and national title race. And in this alternate history, one unexpected program benefits more than anyone: Texas. A struggling Texas program suddenly lands Geno Smith, installs an air raid offense, and completely changes the BCS picture. But would that be enough to stop the SEC from winning it all in 2011? Let's find out. In this alternate history scenario, something unprecedented happens in spring 2011. Four programs suddenly shut down football operations: Kansas, Colorado, West Virginia, and Oklahoma State. Kansas survives as a basketball powerhouse, but football disappears. Colorado leaves a brand new Pac-12 scrambling. But the biggest shockwaves come from two programs: Oklahoma State and West Virginia, because in 2011 those teams were very strong. Oklahoma State had one of the best offenses in the country, with Brandon Weeden, Justin Blackmon, and Joseph Randle. Meanwhile, West Virginia was about to unleash one of the fastest offenses in college football, with Geno Smith, Tavon Austin, and Stedman Bailey. So when those programs disappear in this alternate history, all that talent has to go somewhere, and that's where the chaos begins. First, the coaching carousel. Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy suddenly becomes one of the hottest free agents in the sport. Several programs pursue him, but the most desperate program in 2011, Texas. Just 1 year earlier, Texas finished 5-7. Boosters are panicking, so Texas makes a bold move and hires Gundy. They also bring in former West Virginia offensive mastermind Dana Holgorsen. Holgorsen installs an early version of the air raid offense in Austin, but the real twist comes when one of his former recruits follows him, Geno Smith. Suddenly, Texas doesn't just have a new offense, they have the perfect quarterback to run it, and the ripple effects are only just beginning. Now let's take a look where the biggest stars from these dissolved programs land. Justin Blackmon heads to Tennessee and immediately becomes the best receiver in the SEC. In Knoxville, the Volunteers suddenly have a wide receiver that changes their entire offense. Meanwhile, Tavon Austin leads at Purdue, which leads to a lot of very confused Big Ten defenses. And then there's Geno Smith, because in this alternate history, Geno Smith becomes the quarterback at Texas. And that one move changes everything. And that sets the table for the conference chaos. Because, of course, the conferences have to react. The Big 12 just lost Oklahoma State and Kansas football, so they move fast and add BYU and then TCU a year earlier than they did in real life. That stabilizes the conference but changes the competitive balance. Meanwhile, the Pac-12 has a problem. Colorado is gone, so they temporarily drop divisions, and in the Big East, panic. West Virginia was one of the league's biggest brands. Without them, the conference scrambles to stay relevant. But all of that chaos is just the backdrop, because the biggest storyline is happening in Austin. And that's the table for the Texas transformation. Remember, Texas was coming off a 5-7 season, but now they have Geno Smith, and they have Dana Holgersen's air raid offense. Suddenly, the Longhorns look completely different. Instead of struggling to score, Texas starts lighting up scoreboards with wins over Texas Tech and Texas A&M, and then the biggest moment of the season, Texas versus Oklahoma. In real life, Oklahoma was very strong that year, but in this alternate history, Geno Smith slices through the Sooners' defense. Texas wins the Red River rivalry, and suddenly the Longhorns are back in the national conversation. And that sets the table for the national title race. And this is where things get really interesting. In the real 2011 season, the national championship debate came down to three teams: LSU, Alabama, and Oklahoma State. But remember, Oklahoma State doesn't exist in this alternate history, which means the BCS race looks very different. Instead of Oklahoma State fighting for the number 2 spot, Texas surges into the rankings. The final BCS standings has LSU at number 1, Texas at number 2, and Alabama at number 3. And suddenly the title game changes. Instead of the controversial LSU versus Alabama rematch, we get LSU versus Texas. SEC defense versus air raid offense, Geno Smith versus the LSU defense. It becomes one of the most fascinating matchups of the decade. And the game delivers. Texas moves the ball early. Geno Smith throws for over 300 yards, but LSU's defense is still LSU. The Tigers force 2 key turnovers in the second half. Late in the fourth quarter, Texas drives down the field with a chance to tie the game, but LSU holds. LSU ends up winning the national championship, but the path there is completely different. Now you may be thinking to yourself that Oklahoma State wouldn't change the BCS that much. But remember, Oklahoma State finished number 3 in the final standings. Without them, that spot opens up, and Texas becomes the biggest beneficiary. You may be thinking to yourself that Texas jumping all the way to the title game seems unrealistic. But with Geno Smith running an air raid offense and the Big 12 schedule changing, that path changes. And you may be thinking to yourself that an SEC team would still win anyways. And honestly, you might be right. But the journey to the title game would look completely different, and that's what makes this alternate history so fascinating. And if you enjoy this alternate college football history, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which team benefited the most from this crazy universe. And if you want to see more college football what if scenarios like this one, check out the other videos on this channel. Because in college football, one change can create an entirely different universe.